This video was supposed to be about all the booktubers who have helped me get to where I am in my writing currently. However, serendipitously, one of those amazing booktubers just put up a video that I couldn't help but react to. And so I'll do that first, and then I'll go back to what I had planned for the video in my next video.
Hello, friends. So a couple months back, I asked over on my community tab and my Patreon the question of two publishers from readers. Please stop doing this. And so I wanted to continue this series where I can get more of your thoughts on specific things. And so I decided for the second video of this, I would ask essentially the same exact question, but instead of two publishers, it would be two writers.
Hi. My author pen name is Lorraine Maniseda, and this channel is a little experiment that I'm curious to see the result of. Thank you for being here, and I hope you are entertained. So, Elliot Brook's video is about what readers want writers to stop, and I'm going to try and pit my books against that list and see how many points on that list my books pass, I guess. And the books that I'm defending today, or that I'm pitching against this challenge, are the trilogy that I've been working on for the last couple of years, and that's Beyond the Walls, Within the Bounds, Outside the Limits. It's a post-apocalyptic paranormal adventure romance, and available on Amazon and on my Wattpad profile. So let's see just how well I do against the comments from Brooke's audience.
The first one comes from Jamie, and it says, I want writers to be 10% more realistic with injuries. As a writer myself, I understand that the plot is always more important than realism, but it would be nice to see injuries where you can tell the author did some research before writing about it. On that note, don't just give people injuries if you're just going to fix it in a few pages. It's a cheap play at emotions.
To this point of realism in injuries, that was one of the main things that I really thought about in this book, because it's an adventure quest book and there's a lot of fighting or action scenes. So I tried my best to put in some realism to the injuries, but I don't know how good I did. So I'm going to put this as yes and no. I did try and put in the trauma side of the equation, where people are actually affected later on by what just happened, and it does bleed into what they do. So yes, physical injuries might not be as realistic in terms of healing, just because of the plot, as she explained, but the mental traumatic kind of after effects of injury, I did try and emphasize that, and hopefully it came out clearly. So I'm going to put this as a yes and no, kind of like a maybe. All right, let's go to the next one.
The next one says, I wish authors would remind the reader of what happened in the previous books of the series without us having to read a plot summary online or reread the previous book.
So with my trilogy, every book that comes after the first has aspects of it within the book that kind of call back to the previous books. And so I think I've done this one kind of okay. It's not blatant, but it is there.
Dan, hi Dan, you said, authors, stop assuming that the two main characters in a difficult situation must inevitably become a romantic item, particularly when it's founded on very unhealthy circumstances. People can be in close proximity and not be attracted to each other, you know.
Okay. I always say that this depends on the book. If the book was written for the main characters to showcase their romance, then that is the point of the book, so you can't really escape that. That was the writer's intention. And that's kind of the thing in my book. My intention was to bring these two very different people together in a way that made sense. And so, yeah, I kind of failed in this one. All right, let's check the next one.
Two writers from readers. Not every book needs to follow the current trend. I know it sells, but sometimes readers want some variety. And please bring back numbering books in a series. Book 1, 2, 3. I miss those kinds of books. Almost every time I've picked up the wrong book in a series, it was because it wasn't numbered, and I had to research which is the correct reading order.
Okay, 2 points in this one. For the trend thing, that was kind of something that played in my favor. Vampires are coming in. I think Brooke also mentions that in her video. And I started writing this book about 3 years ago, and now it's about vampires, and now the trend is in. And so it wasn't really for the trend, but in the end, it's working for me, hopefully. I don't know yet. But yes, hopefully I'll get onto the wave for the vampire content and get something back for all the effort that I've put into the book. As for numbering the books, every book in my series is numbered. And so, well, not on the outside, but on the inside title page. So I'm hoping that will be helpful. I'm going to put a tick for both of these.
After that, please stop ending the book 5 pages after the climax of the story. We want to see what happens after that too. It's so disappointing to have this huge thing being built up for so long, and then it happens, and then the book ends so fast. This can make my enjoyment of the book go down a lot, and it's my biggest pet peeve.
This was actually something that I seriously considered for my book, because when I finished writing my book, the denouement, the very last chapter where it shows what happened after the climax, ended up being really, really long, and it was long as 2 chapters. So I have 2 final chapters that happen after the climax, and I was really worried that that's a little bit too much, but I decided to keep it, and I think that was for the right reason, because it kind of gives you a little bit of a taste of what has happened after the climax, and also sets you up for if anything else happens, like where the characters are going to next. So yeah, I think I'm gonna take this one as well.
Please stop responding to reviewers. Don't call them out or be rude, and just preferably don't respond at all. Reviewer spaces are not meant for authors, in my opinion.
I don't know if I should get into the whole authors in reviewer spaces discussion at the moment, but you have to understand, I'm a writer from Wattpad, and comments are encouraged on your Wattpad story, and so readers write comments all the time. And to kind of help the algorithm, you respond to the comments, and also just to kind of have a discussion with the readers. If they put in some comments that are critical, you kind of discuss with them and see how you can become better. And sometimes you just want to say, oh, thanks for the lovely positive comment you've given me. I hope you keep enjoying everything else that I've written. So yeah, I do come from that background of Wattpad, where writers and readers kind of just work together. But out here in the Goodreads world, things seem a little bit different. So that's going to be interesting to navigate as a self-published author. Let's see how it goes. All right, let's go to the next one.
Next, for King's Token, can writers please just give characters brown eyes and or brown hair? It always seems like the main characters always have hair that is black as a raven's wing, or blonde as the golden sun, and their eyes are always green as new spring grass, etc. Also...
Okay, so this is just because most authors want the main character to stand out. So this kind of tends to happen. I have that as well. Like, my character is dark-skinned and has black hair, of course. But she has very blue eyes. And don't worry, it has significance in the plot. If you read the book, there is a reason why that is there, and it helps the plot move forward. It is important. So yeah, I'm gonna say an X for this one for me, although I do have characters who are a little bit more average in terms of having more common features, brown hair, brown eyes, and that kind of stuff as well. So maybe yes, maybe no. Yes and no. Let's do yes and no for this one.
This one says, stop doing dirty to side characters just to make the main character a hero. Every character deserves a little bit of spotlight.
In this trilogy, the side characters are incredibly important, especially one of them whose closer to being a protagonist, but is still a side character. She helps bring out the flaws in my main characters, and I think that's an important thing, to have another character kind of help us learn about our main characters. I think that's how I decided to attack the side character thing this time. And she also has her own arc. Actually, most of my side characters have their own arcs in the background that I hope come out clearly. So I'm gonna put a tick for that one.
This one says, can writers stop using weird scent descriptions? I really like this one. People don't smell like freshly fallen snow and midnight desire. I swear they do that so bookish candle companies can create a scent candle. Just say your characters smell good or fresh or clean, especially in fantasy where they've been fighting and traveling. Y'all smell like you need a shower. Yeah.
With the weird scent things, this time in this book, like other books that I've written, I have tried to put in scent. This book was really difficult for me to find like signature scents that carry through the story. So I kind of just avoided that a little bit completely. So yeah. No weird scents, I don't think. And I do point out in one part that they actually need a shower because they've been walking through the forest for a couple of days. So yeah, that's there. I'm going to put a tick for this one.
I wish authors would just let their characters die. Stop creating convenient ways to save them 2 pages later. Looking at you, Miss Mass. If a dude gets his throat ripped out and eaten, I don't save him with magic healing powers. Sorry. Yeah, you definitely don't, but you didn't say you. You said don't save him with magic healing powers. I want to feel when I read, kill the characters off.
Okay, the resurrection trope, a fantasy staple. Do I like it? I love it. It's really fun, especially when it's done well. Is it in this book? I don't know. I mean, I have a character who actually, no, yes, it is in this book. Hopefully it's done well, and I won't spoil where. So yeah, you just have to read it. You know what? I'm just going to put a tick in this because I have confidence that I've done it kind of okay. It's actually a main plot line of this book. So yes, sorry if I've spoiled that for everyone else. All right, let's keep going.
To writers, please stop dragging out a series when there's no new concepts or interesting ideas to explore. It's okay to add more if there's genuinely new innovations to be seen or discovered. Take, for example, Era 2 of Mistborn, which is vastly different from Era 1. Otherwise, just let a trilogy be a trilogy. Yes.
I think as an author, dragging out a series is kind of one of my phobias. Just this act of writing and then it doesn't really add to the reader experience. So I've tried to avoid that. The trilogy that I've written is not the last trilogy in this story. There is another trilogy that is the same story from the perspective of the vampire. And I think that adds to the reader experience. So for this point, I'm going to put a tick that I've done it kind of okay.
Stop writing sarcastic characters when they are dealing with something extremely phenomenal or world-shattering. Ugh, the aliens couldn't have picked... Sorry, I really like your example. Ugh, the aliens couldn't have picked a better day to invade Earth. Shut up.
I don't have that many sarcastic characters in my stories, only because I don't write them very well, so I try to avoid them. I do have a taste of it in some of my side characters, and I'm hoping that doesn't come off so distracting. So I think, okay, I wish I could write more of them because I feel like my books take themselves a little bit too seriously, and a little bit of sarcasm and humor would have helped. So yeah, I'm in two minds about this, but in my books, I don't think I have that. So I'm going to tick this off the checklist.
This was a big complaint of mine with Fourth Wing, among several things, but you said don't use dot after every single word, and then you said if you want to highlight something, there are definitely smarter ways to do that. I don't
the dot thing, I've only done it in one sentence in this whole trilogy, and the only reason I noticed was because of the complaints on all the reviews of Fourth Wing. So yep, that's a tick for me for this one.
I want to read this one by Laura. It says, stop the growling. Just stop the growling, which I really like.
This one really made me laugh. And yeah, there's no human growling in my book, but there are monsters that growl. So yeah, I think that goes with a tick for this one for me as well.
Stop ruining great tropes just so you appear edgy or hipster.
Ooh, the struggle of subverting tropes so that your book is a little bit more unique. This is a struggle that every writer has faced. It's a struggle I've faced even with this trilogy, and I'm hoping that within the tropes I have used a few in this trilogy, that I've done them in a way that is different enough to justify thinking that I haven't butchered everything completely or tried to make it too edgy. Yeah, this one's gonna be up to the readers, but if I'm to say anything, I'm gonna put a tentative tick to that one.
Vampires feel like they're becoming super popular right now. And what can happen is you'll have writers feel like, okay, well, I have to write vampires, but I have to make them unique. So instead of drinking blood, they'll change it. And you're like, it's not even a vampire anymore. Why are you writing vampires if you're not actually writing vampires? So I think.
While discussing the subversion of tropes point, Elliot Brooks did start talking about people who write vampires and they completely destroyed the trope to the point where you don't even recognize it as a vampire anymore. And I just want to put it out there on the record, my vampires drink blood and they are actually pretty brutal. I went in with the gore because I thought the vampires that I've read, especially lately, haven't been as monstrous as I think vampires should be. And it's actually one of the things that the humans in my books have to contend with because it's something that they are forced to think about as they interact with a vampire. And so yeah, I think my vampires don't have an equivalent at the moment that I've seen. They're a little bit different. The way they use blood is different. They have a little bit of vampire magic. And so I'm hoping that I've done it in a unique way, but not so unique that you forget that they are vampires. So just wanted to put that in there. As with most videos, I went directly to the comment section after this one. I especially like BookTube video comment sections because they are filled with gems for writers. I have found ideas in comment sections that have improved my writing immensely or that have given me ideas for new books. And so this one was one that I was curious to see. And I did find a few gems. Let me show you a few of them. So this comment is about the power creep, where your hero keeps just getting more and more power as the sequels go on. This comment was actually something that I hadn't thought about before, and because of it, I'm going to look at the sequel of this trilogy in a little bit of a different way, because I am thinking of writing a sequel. I just haven't thought of how to do it, and this is one of the notes that I'm going to put in my outline book just to make sure that I don't overpower my characters too much in the sequel to the point where they become ridiculous. Oh, this comment. This is something I've been struggling with for years. Okay, so I'm of African descent. I'm a woman. I'm in the STEM industry, so engineering, and I am not 100% straight, I would say. But the point is, this is something that is almost encouraged, to have these themes in your story that strongly fight for your rights to be. But sometimes I think that takes away from the story. And so in this trilogy, I did include themes that are important to me, but hopefully I've included them in a way that doesn't take from the story, that actually furthers the plot and that makes sense for the world building. So after reading the comments from the video, I became curious about the comments from the community tab that actually birthed this video. So I went looking for it and I found it, and I found so many other interesting comments, and I want to share a few with you. This comment about shoehorning a villain into a story is actually quite interesting, because a lot of people learn that every book should have an antagonist. But it's not always a person, although having a person to personify all the bad stuff that happens in the world building so that you can fight against it is pretty cool. But I really like this comment because it points out that it doesn't actually have to be just man versus man. It can be man versus nature and man versus self. And in my trilogies, I tried to put all three of those villainy subjects into the story. So there is a physical person, like a person who's a villain, but they also have to fight against nature and they have to fight against themselves as well. And so I'm really hoping I did it well and that it adds to the story and that it doesn't feel shoehorned into the narrative. I just found this comment interesting because I do name my chapters. I always take it as a challenge because on Wattpad, when you name your chapters, I feel like it gets a better audience. And so I did name my chapters. I will show you the names of the chapters in this slide over here. And as you can see, every book in the trilogy has a kind of pattern to the chapter title. That keeps it consistent. And so, I think I nailed this one. Okay, I loved this rant and so I don't know how I would rank on the title thing with this reader, but hopefully my titles aren't too egregious. I was actually worried about not giving so much description to my characters, but this comment gives me confidence that that's okay, that some readers won't mind having it so detailed for them. So, and also I do try to make sure that my main character, even if she does have a slightly better ability than some of the side characters, I tried to make it so that she needs them to be able to succeed in her journey and in the quest that she's on. And so, I hope I nailed this one. This one is actually really important to me, and I really hope I nailed it. Yes, and yes. I totally agree with this comment. I've always wondered about this stuff in fantasy adventure stories as well. And as I wrote my own, I tried to use these mundane things as a way to help characters bond and actually add to the story. It wasn't just mentioning them like they exist, but actually using them to further the plot and to further character development. And I hope that it came out okay. And that readers will enjoy it. When I started this video, I thought that Elliot Brooks was solely a booktuber. However, I saw this comment, and that means that she is technically an author-tuber. And so, just as I had done with the author-tubers in the previous video in this series, I will showcase Elliot Brooks and her work. From my research, Elliot Brooks has one book, and from what I've seen, it got generally positive reviews. And so hopefully this book, which is the beginning of a series, will be continued and we'll get more from her in the future. So that's the end of this video. Definitely go check out Elliot Brooks' From Readers to Writers video that inspired this one, because there's so much I left out, and the way she just articulates her opinions on these checklist items that I've mentioned is really cool and really fun to watch. So please go watch her video, leave comments, because I'm sure by the end of that video you will definitely have a couple of opinions of your own. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the video. I hope to see you next time when I put up a video of the booktubers who've helped me understand writing from a reader's perspective and have helped me get to where I am in my writing journey. Until then, have a wonderful day.